how to make ethics interesting. So I'm with a group of beautiful faculty at WSU Tech, and Joyce just posed the question which you've just heard. And what I want to do is share one concrete exercise that can be framed in multiple different ways to make any topic that could be a little bit more meh, a little bit more interesting. Okay, the exercise is, and what I'm going to invite after this, I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to ask you, each of you, examples of dynamics that you might use in this exercise. You ready? So I learned this, I think it was originally called elevator air when I learned it, or no, it's called train station greetings. And the concept, the original format that I learned this exercise in was a group in person, all together, standing in a circle. And the facilitator that taught it to me, Mark Collard, had everybody stand up and greet each other in a couple different ways. So the first way, he said, first round, can you greet as many people as possible in this room with the perspective and the mindset that you're in a rush and you've got way more important things to do and you need to get on to the next person. Ready, set, go. So everybody moved around, greeted each other really quickly. You can imagine, handshake, oh yeah, sorry, gotta go. Round one. Okay, how'd that feel? What struck you? What'd you notice about that? Round two, can you greet everybody as if you were just stepping off of a train in a strange city that you'd never been in before, and by no planning, total coincidence, you step off onto the train platform and one of your absolute best friends is standing on the train platform to greet you? Can you now all greet each other as if you were that person? If you don't want hugs, just go like this, or whatever, right? 3, 2, 1. And you can imagine the difference in greeting there, very, very different. So what I imagine for you, Joyce, as you were talking, that's the one that popped up for me, because you could pick the behavior that you don't want and the behavior that you do want, and then actually debrief with students. Tell me how the first one felt, right? Tell me what you noticed about the first one. So if you're talking about being better on the job, I would define a couple characteristics of that. So I would say when you're interacting with a patient, we're going to greet each other in a minute, and I want you to pretend that you're each other's patients because you're teaching a CNA course, right? Greet each other as if as if they're a patient and you're greeting them for the very first time. Greet them though as if you're overwhelmed and you have way too much stuff to do and you can't possibly spend a minute with them. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Round two, right? Greet them, you still are probably overwhelmed and you have a lot of stuff to do. So you're still going to greet them quickly, but greet them as if they are the most important person on the planet and spend 4 seconds with every person just saying, hey, I'm so glad to meet you, I'm Chad. Hey, I'm so glad to meet you, I'm Joyce, right? You feel that? So now, remember, silence is one of the great arts of conversation. So take 10 seconds. Can you all think about your own classes and meetings and think about what dynamics, what behavior you would love to see happening and what behavior you would not like to see happening? And can we just popcorn a couple of suggestions from you out? What you got?
Well, I think it's, I do like to have those more meaningful conversations, but some people are really chatty and I get sort of halfway into our meeting and they're still going. And so, yeah, I care, but only so much. And I have other things I do need to do. So how do you gently stop them from oversharing?
Yeah, and this, by the way, as I start to tread into like actual real life dynamics, I'm starting to walk on eggshells because I'm not in that exact context. But what comes to mind when you say that is this idea of what if you had people greet each other and then when you said a word or something, it was partner A's job to get out of conversation, but partner's B job to try to keep the conversation going. And just to debrief and ask, like, how do you actually leave when you have something to do and you would love to just have an infinite amount of free time to chat, but you don't, how do you close that down and what's appropriate? And then agreeing as a group on like, what's the dynamic that we want to create to say like, hey, what if there was a bell on your desk and you rang it and you agreed as a group that bell meant, I love this conversation and I actually would like to spend 2 more hours here, but I cannot, or else my family life is going to blow up, right? whatever else that means. So creating some sort of kind of putting that dynamic to the forefront. Okay, that was me talking, not you. Any other dynamics show up you want to kick out?
This is kind of perfect. It reminds me of what I did in class yesterday. This exact scenario when I was on the topic of communication. I showed them, I used a student up front and I acted like I was really busy trying to communicate with her as a patient. She was the patient. I went up to her and I'm like, what is your pain? On a scale of 0 to 10, like really fast. And I wasn't looking at her at all. I had my back turned, I had my clipboard in my hand. Then I walked away from her. And then I came back and I got down in front of her face where we were eye to eye, not, and it's like, how is your pain? Have what we've been doing working for you? I actually, I wasn't looking at my paper or writing at the same time. And she seemed, more warmed and relaxed versus the first time she was just like, it's a 3. I guess that was working. And then I left the room. So it was perfect example for that this is what's happening today. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Oh, I love it, Sheila. So while we're on the topic of how to make work ethics more engaging in that particular idea, what you did is beautiful, right? As an instructor, all your students were absolutely tuned into that moment and they will likely not forget that. If you want to guarantee they won't forget that, create that dynamic and have all of them pair up with each other and do what you did in the front of the room. Have everybody do that to each other, right? So somebody's the patient and somebody is the busy person. That will guarantee they won't forget it. The other thing that I thought of is, I think, and I have a deep side passion for healthcare. There was a point in my life where I thought I was going to become a doctor. That did not work out after the first chemistry class that I took in college. But the idea that came to me is that oftentimes when we turn people into objects, it's because we feel like we don't have enough time to be with them. So what I would be curious to do is, if you were to do that demonstration again, Sheila, to encourage some more contribution or participation from the class too, I would give somebody a stopwatch or have them all maybe take out their phones and open up a stopwatch and say, I'm going to interact with this patient in 2 different ways. Time each one. So the first round, you time it. You're busy, you're in a rush, what's your pain? Looking away. Probably takes about 30 seconds. And then version 2, right? Hey, it seems like you're in a ton of pain. On a scale of 1 to 10, where you at, version 2. I would bet that you could do both of them. Treat somebody as an object and treat somebody as a human in 30 seconds. That there's no fundamental difference in the time that you do that. And so if you're trying to illustrate, hey, not only is this important, it actually doesn't take any more of your time. And in fact, they might even be less likely to come back later. They're going to be nicer to you the time you come in for next shift, right? All these benefits are going to happen and you didn't necessarily spend any more time. So just thinking about adding that dynamic to it. I think that's enough on how to make work ethics fun. Have an awesome day.